Hi, this is Ishita Datta, a legal intern at Lexis & Company, and today I will be talking about the concept of battery. A battery, as the term defines, is the intentional touching of or the application of force to the body of another person or anything related to them in a harmful or offensive manner without the consent of the person. Unlike assault, where mere threatening of a person leads to the filing of a suit, the battery is the actual contact in an offensive manner without the consent of the person. Many a times, the battery is often preceded by the assault. That is why the term is often used in combined form, assault and battery. Therefore, a person may be made liable under the battery where he intentionally commits an act in order to either cause a harm or offensive contact or to cause imminent apprehension of such contact which leads to harmful offensive contact with the other person. Like, for example, wherein the heated aggressive fight between X and Y, X punches Y's face, then under such circumstances, X has committed the offense of battery. So, as in our daily life, it is practically impossible for one to avoid physical touch. But therefore, it is presumed that till a certain amount, there is consent given for physical touch. Like a person traveling in a crowded bus or two friends in a friendly manner hit each other, then in those circumstances, there is an offense for battery. So the battery is a kind of trespass to the person, and therefore it can be either criminal offense or a civil offense or even both. So what is civil battery in the context of tort? The battery is considered as civil wrong when it is done with the intent, but the wrongdoer or perpetrator does not have any specific injury to cause it to someone, but he had the knowledge about the fact that his act would certainly lead to injury to someone. As because the battery is an intentional tort but there is no specific criminal intent, it is involved. Therefore, the victim can file a suit under the civil court against the perpetrator for monetary damages. For example, X, for his shooting practice, shoots at a tree planted in an open garden. And if while practicing, the shot of a gun hits Y, who was roaming there, then under such circumstances, X can be liable for a civil battery, as he can rightly presume that bullets so fired from his gun would hit the other if practiced in an open garden. So what is criminal battery in terms of law? Criminal battery differs slightly from that of civil battery. So as in criminal battery, there is involvement of intention to kill the other person. Hence, in criminal battery, intention plays a very important role. Under criminal battery, punishment so granted is for the imprisonment of fine or both, depending upon case to case. For example, where a person X with the intention of killing Y mixes poisonous material in his food, then even if that food is eaten by someone else, then also X would be liable for criminal offense. So what are the essentials of a battery? For providing the offense of a battery, it is necessary under the following conditions. First is use of force. For the constituting a battery against any person, it is necessary that there should be the use of force. Even if the force used is not of that much harmful, but still the force was used and therefore battery was committed. Although there are also cases that where there is no direct injury which is being caused by a physical touch, but the force is used through the indirect way. For example, without any bodily contact or with the aggressor, like through the use of stick, bullet, or by spitting on the man's face or pulling a chair, etc. are some examples. So if the person gets physical injury due to the infliction of heat, light, or color, then also it is termed as battery. However, mere passive obstruction can't be an offense of battery. Like in the case of Ince versus Wiley, the policeman wrongfully restrained a person from entering a club. It was held that if the policeman was entirely passive like a door or a wall put to prevent someone from entering the premises, there was no battery committed. Second is without lawful justification. So for the purpose of proving battery, it is always necessary that the force so used should be unlawful and without any justification. Therefore, if for example, if two people meet each other on a road and thereby pass silently by having some physical contact, then there can't be an offense of battery. But if they pass each other and while crossing one of them started fighting with the other, then there is an offense committed of battery by the person who has started the fight. So, however, harm caused by the accident and without intention is not actionable. Like in the case of Stanley versus Powell, the defendant and the plaintiff both were from the shooting party, and while the defendant fired at a peasant, the pellet from his gun reverted back from a tree and accidentally wounded the plaintiff. It was held that the defendant was not held liable as the act was neither intentional nor negligently done. So, what are the defenses of battery? To run out of criminal or civil liability, the defendant uses certain defense to save himself or herself from any obligation due to the wrongful action so happened. As battery can sometimes be the simple case or sometimes the most complex ones. The defenses which are available of battery vary from case to case, but some of them are: first, self-defense. Self-defense refers to the protecting of oneself from the unlawful force used by the other party. So under this, the defendant won't be held liable for the wrongful of the battery over the other person. It is a justified defense as the defendant was safeguarding himself from the wrongful force so caused by the plaintiff. However, it is necessary for the defendant to prove that there was no provocation from his side and also there was no other way to save himself. For example, A and B were rivals with each other. All of the sudden, when both crossed each other, A started to shout and fight with B. B in his self-defense uses the stick lying nearby to hit him and ran away. Then B will not be held liable for committing battery as the use of force was justified and is used as self-defense. So what are the defense of others? It is also the same kind of defense as of self-defense, but here the force is used to save another person who is in trouble because of wrongful force used by the plaintiff on the other person. The third kind of defense is defense of property. So when the defendant uses force to safeguard his property or other, then under those circumstances, the force used would be considered valid, provided that such use of force should be reasonable enough. So like in the case of Bird versus Holbrook, the defendant put a spring gun on his land to save his property, but that safeguard system was fixed without any notice. The trespasser passing thereby was seriously injured due to this. It was held that the plaintiff was liable to be compensated as the force used was excessive and the defendant had committed the offense of battery. So the question is, what is the difference between battery and assault? To answer this, assault and battery belong to the same category of trespass to a person, which states that whoever wrongfully causes any injury to another, regardless being mental or physical, or induces any fear of state in the mind, will be liable for committing trespass to the person. So assault and battery differ from each other, as in assault there is the apprehension of one's mind in fear of infliction of the battery over him would lead to assault, whereas battery refers to the application of force, so intentionally done without any lawful justification, which leads injury to another person. Thank you so much.